opened up a log, and you got like, what, 30,000 this week?
Yeah, over even 50,000 people watch it. This is actually, as Reverend explained it, Ethiopia, many of you know Ethiopia as being Ethiopia, the country, but it was never Ethiopia. It was Oromo land in the beginning.
Oromia land.
And then what happened is in 1880s, there was a genocide against the Oromo people to get rid of the people and change completely the name of the country. And they did succeed in changing into what is called Abyssinia. I mean, you might have heard that Ethiopia is...
Abyssinia?
Yeah, Abyssinia was the name.
Abyssinia.
That is after they killed a lot of Oromos and got rid of almost many of them. And then, but the leftover like me today is saved by the German people who came into that country and saved us. So we are the leftover of that saved by the German. If any of you have a Germany heritage, you should be proud that you did that time. And then what happened is they changed the country into Abyssinia. Then in the 1990s, in the 1900s, they changed it from Abyssinia into Ethiopia. So they registered in Geneva and whatever encyclopedia saying Ethiopia. This is to make sure that none of the word Oromo or Oromo land appeared. 30 years ago, if somebody called themselves an Oromo, there was a direct execution by the Abyssinian leaders. Today is a minority Tigrayans who are controlling the power. The 5% of the 100 million people get the US aid, and they're committing genocide with that US aid money. That is what has resulted my uncle get executed, and my brother-in-law. A lot of mess in the country. I am a direct victim of that genocide. So that Ethiopia is a land of nothing but blood. Still today, and what to blame is US taxpayers' money. It's your money. Look what we did in North Korea. We gave them a lot of money. They built the military. Now we are just talking about what we're going to do. The Tigrayans, we have given them a sophisticated military power, money to build it. What they did is we have the Oromo military generals in 2005. The Tigrayans, there was election in 2005 pushed by the President George W. Bush to make sure the election is fair and free. And then President Bush did that. It happened. So the Tigrayans were 100% defeated. They lost the election. And what they did is they killed the protesters and put opposition leaders into jail, and they were able to control the country. They lost their popularity as a legitimate leader. So what happened in 2006, they talked to the military generals, which many of them are Oromos, to make sure they get Western recognition to be a legitimate government, because they killed a lot of people. They said, hey, let's go to Somalia and do something. And they said, let's create a group called Al-Shabaab. Group is, young. Al-Shabaab means young people, by the way.
Oh.
Young people who don't have a job. That's Al-Shabaab. So they brought it together. They armed them. The Tigrayans did. And the Oromo military generals left the country because they don't want to do that. So the Tigrayans said, let's do this. Number one, we're going to get more money from America if we scare the neighboring countries. So we train those Somali recruits and send them to the Kenya or neighboring countries so they could attack. And we say to Western leaders, hey, we have enough threat in the country, so what we can do. And then they managed doing it. So the Oromo military generals left the country not to cooperate with them. None of the US media went and talked to them. None. But we talk about Al-Shabaab, we talk about terrorism. None of them were contacted. They're still living in exile, so they can give a lot of story. So they tell us to just tell American people so they know what's happening. Now, in 2006, Al-Shabaab was created by the Tigrayans. As you might have heard, Al-Shabaab hit Somalia, Kenya 3 times. Garissa attack, whatever attack. That time, that the Tigrayan government started getting legitimacy, saying that they're fighting Al-Shabaab. To the point that President Obama went and joined them 2 years ago and saying they're 100% democratically elected government, the country that genocide is taking place. In 2009, the Tigrayans came up with a very smart idea saying that, look, we are fighting Al-Shabaab, So there is a threat to our country, Ethiopia. So we're going to come up with a law that is called anti-terrorism and NGO law. So they applied that in Ethiopia. Now every Oromos from 4-year-old to 80 years old, terrorist, kill them, terrorist, kill them, put them into jail, kill them, terrorist, because they use anti-terrorism and NGO law that they have established in 2009. Imagine, in 2006 they created Al-Shabaab. In 2009 they asked in a national community if they could apply that law into their own country because they are afraid of Al-Shabaab, and then now they're committing genocide. Because international community knows that everybody killed because of Al-Shabaab and terrorism allegation, no justice.
Okay.
This is what is happening.
All right. Now.
So U.S. tax money is one to blame for all this. Now they have sophisticated military power. Active genocide is taking place.
Okay. Thank you. Now I want you to tell them about this.
This one.
Tell about this.
This is. So I came up. I lost a lot of family members and friends. So I came up with what is called United Oromo Nation. This is our people are being naive. They're being naive now because they're almost to the point that they're giving up, like we were before 1776, right? When England came and took over this country, many Americans were naive. I read the story. I learned about it. It kind of to the point that it's disappointments happening. So I just want to make sure that this nation's hope is built again. So I came up with a humanitarian organization called uoromo.org. This is a humanitarian organization to bring the Oromo people together and also help a lot of Oromo refugees around the world, which even their cases are turned down because Tigrayans are already in the United Nations bribing people so the Oromos won't have a chance to travel into different countries. This is why you are amazed that refugees are turned back from not to even have access to the third countries. Right. In their country there is a genocide. To the third countries, United Nations is out there giving a lot of money so that they won't have access to the third country.
All right, thank you. Now I want us to go back to the table. And,
Thanks so much.
Thank you.